Joseph M. Scott, author of The Road to Freedom, has recently released his book, based on his story about overcoming challenges while growing up in the segregated South in the 50s and 60s. Back then, in Tallulah, Louisiana, the schools, restaurants, and restrooms were legally designated for white or black citizens. And you better know your place. So with those challenges before him, how did Joe, a boy who picked cotton in the sweltering fields of Louisiana, later transition into becoming the next president of a major bank, ultimately retiring at the age of 53? Joe Scott had a dream, and it came from on high, handed down through the generations from his great-great-grandparents who were enslaved people. Their message was simple: you'll never be free until you're financially free. That's when Joe started working odd jobs, and his parents taught him how to set money aside to support himself. And when the powerful men in town tried to intimidate that 13-year-old boy from later pursuing a college education, Joe kept his head down because he knew that earning his degree was his ticket out. So whether Joe was shining shoes at the local barber shop as a teenager, receiving his financial management degree at the college of his dreams, or climbing the corporate ladder years later, he saved what he could until he built a sufficient reserve that ultimately made him untouchable in the corporate world. And this type of freedom, financial freedom, ensured that no one could force him into doing something he didn't want to do, which meant working and living on his terms. This included focusing on his grandfather's teachings and giving back to his community by helping the least of us. So Joe began saving neighborhoods in Detroit by dispersing bank loans over a 10-year period that totaled over $95 million to business owners, developers, and families. As time passed, it was announced that Joe would become president of a major bank in Detroit, culminating at the peak of his 27-year career. But Joe had other ideas. Read The Road to Freedom and discover how Joe Scott stunned bank executives and his community by using the financial freedom principles to live life on his own terms. Now available on Amazon.